to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Please remain standing for a moment of silence for our country and for the world. And I would also like it noted that we lost a very valuable employee last weekend, Joshua Weller. He served in our corrections facility for 20 years, and our condolences to his family, and may he always be remembered. Thank you. Thank you. Good morning, everyone. Thank you for coming. First off, we have an employee recognition this morning. Miss Sarah Conklin, she's not here, but she's been with us for 5 years, working in children and youth, and we appreciate Sarah, and we will make sure that she gets her certificate. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Sarah.
Okay, I will open public comment. Are there any comments on the agenda or non-agenda items? One, two,
Just
three.
a curious question. Is there gonna be another open house at the new center? Unfortunately, COVID intervened and I didn't make it.
Well, I'm sure that, you know, Bill, if you wanted to get over there, we could arrange a time to get you over there and
Show you
either
around.
one of the commissioners or we can get you a tour so you can see what's going on.
Okay, yeah, I'd be curious. I remember when it was in the dungeon down in the basement here.
Actually, we had the privilege that night of having two of the people that started in the dungeon in the basement here.
Yeah.
And it was kinda, and actually Cheryl Wellman was there, and it was kinda like, and cause Cheryl started in the
Oh, I
dungeon
remember,
too.
yeah.
And actually, we call it the dungeon, it used to be the fallout shelter downstairs. And they had a nice little reminiscing about the old days and, you know, the difference between what it was like when they were in the fallout shelter versus the facility they have now.
It was nice and cozy down there. If you got more than 3 people, well, you couldn't get more than
You
3
couldn't get 3 people in the room, so.
Bill, we'll be hosting some events over there too. We'll be doing our County Wellness Health and Safety Day on the 24th of September. So the great thing about having that building is we have that large space to have events too. So we'll let you know when those events are too, so you can make it over during them.
We've already had 3 different events there, just in the last 3
Yeah,
weeks, so.
it's been wonderful.
Been there, yep, everybody's been very appreciative. And we opened it during the snowstorm, I don't know if you knew that, and
I knew
about
that,
30 people
yeah.
came in and showered and used the facility, so.
Mhm.
We're come right out of the gate using it, so we're happy about that. We just had the Auditors Conference. The Northeast Regional Auditors Conference was held there this week.
They let you
So-
in there?
They did.
Yeah.
I made a presentation there once.
They did. They did.
There was a question at that conference, and locally, is that, will that be available for community events?
Only if it's county related. Like, we won't be renting it out or anything
Okay.
like that. It would be like for the fire companies, you know, county, stuff like that, like
The
people.
county fire association?
Well, like trainings for, right? We were saying
Right.
the fire company
So-
trainings.
Fire
stuff like
company
that.
training.
It wouldn't be like for the Farm Bureau or anything
No.
like that? Okay. Because that was asked.
And I'll just piggyback on that, since the open house, like, what kind of attendance did you have, what kind of feedback?
Great.
So it was great, I mean, the ribbon cutting, there was about 50 people there, and that was excellent, it was very well perceived by everybody. We had about 150 people that came for the open house, and everything was totally positive. I mean, it was the remarks and the comments, and I want to say that, you know, this facility, thanks to, you know, the commissioners that really had the foresight and the hard work of trying to make this all work, you know, this facility serves everybody from cradle to grave. And although it's just as important to young people and young mothers and everybody, you know, the people that really came out was the elderly people that came over, and the comments that they had. I mean, the one lady is a relative of Elizabeth's. She was just awed and almost in tears, just so thankful, you know, that she could look in and actually see 911 operators, and said, I feel so much safer now knowing that this is here and that I can see people, and I mean, it really has touched a lot of the people that came. It really touched them well, and they were very appreciative. Everybody's saying money well spent, and they're just so happy that our county has this.
And I'd like to thank Rebecca Hubbard, our chief clerk, because she did a lot of the organizing on that event. And then Commissioner Herschel and I were under the weather, so we were not able to be there to help. So thank you, Alan and Rebecca, and Paige, you weren't there yet.
You got a good
No,
team.
But, and then Brad and Scott and Ralph all helped, and of course Daryl Catering did the food, so it was, sorry we missed it, but we heard it was a lovely event.
Well, you're doing the next event.
Yeah.
The next
Thank
event's
you.
on you.
We got it.
I guess I could have live streamed it for you, I don't know.
I guess they should have like zoomed us in. Yeah, that's what we should have done.
Yeah, we should have zoomed you in on the big screen.
Yeah, why didn't we think of that, Alan?
I don't know why we didn't think of that
Two
one.
big
so.
screens.
Could have had one on
Great,
each one, you
exactly.
know?
10-foot heads.
We were saying that, we were saying that.
I could have had my jacket on, my pajama bottoms on.
All right, let's not get too.
Exactly. All right, let's go. Are there any more questions?
All right, motion to close public comment.
I'll second that.
Motion by Commissioner Hall, seconded by Commissioner Herschel, to close public comment at 9:06. All in favor, say aye.
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 Motion to approve the minutes
I'll
of
second.
April 27th.
I will second that.
Motion by Commissioner Hall, seconded by Commissioner Herschel, to approve April 27th, 2022 minutes. All in favor, say aye.
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 Motion to recess commissioners and open the salary board.
I will second that.
Motion by Commissioner Hall to recess the Commissioners meeting at 9:07 and go into salary board. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Okay. We have Rebecca here this morning, welcome. Any comments on the agenda for salary board? Hearing
Motion to
none.
close.
I'll second that.
Motion by Commissioner Hall, seconded by Commissioner Herschel to close public comment. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Motion to approve the minutes of April 27th.
I'll second that.
Motion by Commissioner Hall, seconded by Commissioner Herschel to approve the minutes of April 27th, 2022 of salary board meeting. All in favor, say aye.
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 Were you here?
Yeah.
Motion to approve item 3.
I will second that.
A motion by Commissioner Hall to create 2 part-time, non-union positions of IT technician at $16.39 per hour, no more than 29 hours per week, with a 6-month probationary period and benefits according to the county policy manual and government mandates per the recommendation of Stephen Janowski, Director of IT, GIS Coordinator. Seconded by Commissioner Herschel. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
And just so you understand a little bit on that, if I can just interject, we have 2 open full-time positions right now that we're not able to fill. We can't find bodies to put in there. So basically, we're trying a couple part-time. We actually are finding some students out of the colleges and universities that are in their like junior, senior year to come in and do basically some work that way, and hopefully we can retain them after they graduate. So,
Okay, thank you. Number 4.
motion approved 4.
I'll second that.
Motion by Commissioner Hall to increase the grade of the Human Resource Director from an 8 to a 9 based on education and experience. Annual salary start rate will be $50,125. All in favor, say aye.
Aye. Motion approved 5.
I will second that.
Motion by Commissioner Hall to eliminate the full-time, non-union position of Human Resources Generalist effective May 12th, 2022, per the recommendation of Rebecca Hubbard, Chief Clerk. Seconded by Commissioner Herschel. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Motion to close the salary board and go back to the commissioners.
I'll second that.
Motion by Commissioner Hall to close salary board at 9:09, seconded by Commissioner Herschel. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
You gonna stay with us, or are you gonna go?
You can stay or go, whichever you
I'll just
please.
stay.
All
Okay,
right,
cool.
good deal.
All right.
There you
Back to the
go.
commission.
Motion to approve item 4, pay the bills.
I'll second that.
Motion by Commissioner Hall to pay the bills for the month, seconded by Commissioner Herschel. All in favor, say aye.
Aye. Motion to approve 5, the seminar requests and payments.
I'll second that.
Motion by Commissioner Hall to approve the following seminar travel and requests, and there's several of them. Seconded by Commissioner Herschel. All in favor, say aye.
Aye. Motion to approve item 6.
Motion by Commissioner Hall to approve entering into a contract with Zito Business of Caldersport, Pennsylvania for dedicated internet equipment and access to the corrections facility and recycling center at a cost of $1,850 for installation and $305.32 per month for access, effective May 11th of this year, per the recommendation of Stephen Janowski, Director of IT, GIS Coordinator.
And I'll second that.
Seconded by Commissioner Herschel. All in favor, say aye.
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 I'll make a motion to approve item 7.
I'll second that.
Motion by Commissioner Hall to enter into an agreement with Harris Local Government of Edinburgh, PA for printing of ROC mailers for delinquent tax bills effective May 11th at a total cost for 2022 of $1,770 per the recommendation of Rebecca Westcott, Acting Treasurer, First Deputy Tax Claim. Seconded by Commissioner Herschel. All in favor say aye.
Aye. Motion to approve 8.
I'll second that.
Motion by Commissioner Hall to enter into a purchase of service contract with the County of Chester, Pennsylvania, for child welfare services and detention services at a per diem cost of $310 a day for detention center and $205 for shelter. Seconded by Commissioner Herschel. All in favor say aye.
Aye. Motion to approve 9.
I'll second that.
Motion by Commissioner Hall to enter into a contract with Thomas J. Weber of La Crosse for consulting services for the Susquehanna County Correctional Facility effective June 1st, 2022 through December 31st, 2025, at a total cost not to exceed $15,000 for consulting and $1,825 for travel expense. Seconded by Commissioner Herschel. All in favor say aye.
Aye. Motion to approve 10.
I'll second that.
Motion by Commissioner Hall to ratify and acknowledge the termination of Taylor McKeevy from the position of full-time Assistant Director of Domestic Relations effective April 27th, 2022, per Michelle Gerald, Director of Domestic Relations. Seconded by Commissioner Herschel. All in favor say aye.
Aye. Motion to approve 11.
I'll second that.
Motion by Commissioner Hall to acknowledge the transfer of Wesley Campbell from the position of Establishment Specialist, Court Liaison, to the open full-time non-union position of Assistant Director of Domestic Relations. Salary $40,100, effective May 12th, 2022, with a 6-month probationary period and benefits according to the county policy manual, per the recommendation of President Judge Legge. Seconded by Commissioner Herschel. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion to approve 12.
I'll second that.
Motion by Commissioner Hall to ratify and approve the transfer of Michael Brennan from the position of part-time corrections officer to the open union-eligible position of full-time corrections officer at $17.87 per hour, effective April 29th, with a 6-month probationary period and benefits according to the jail bargaining unit and the county policy manual, per the recommendation of Warden Jeffrey Heinman. Seconded by Commissioner Herschel. All in favor say aye.
Aye. Motion to approve 13.
I'll second that.
Motion by Commissioner Hall to approve the hiring of Christopher Zabrowski of German to the open non-union position of part-time IT technician at $16.39 per hour, not to exceed 29 hours per week, effective May 16th, 2022, with a 6-month probationary period and benefits according to the county policy manual and government mandates. Per the recommendation of Stephen Janowski, Director of IT, GIS Coordinator. Seconded by Commissioner Herschel. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carried.
Motion to approve 14.
I'll second that.
Motion by Commissioner Hall to approve the hiring of Julie Johnson of Montrose to the open, non-union, full-time position of Director of Human Resources at $50,125 per year, effective May 23rd, 2022, with a 6-month probationary period and benefits according to the county policy manual and government mandates, per the recommendation of Rebecca Hubbard, Chief Clerk. Seconded by Commissioner Herschel. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion to approve 15.
I'll second that.
Motion by Commissioner Hall to acknowledge with regret the resignation of Daniel DeJesus from the position of Deputy Sheriff effective May 19th, 2022, per Sheriff Lance Benedict. All in favor say aye.
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 Motion to approve 16.
I will second that.
A motion by Commissioner Hall to approve proclamation 2022-23, May 15th through the 21st as Emergency Medical Services Week in Susquehanna County. Seconded by Commissioner Herschel. All in favor say aye.
Aye. So before I close the meeting, I know we have a few things that we need to talk about. One is an issue that's popped up with True Friends. There's some comments going around on Facebook about about True Friends and the county commissioners that unfortunately are misleading and not true. So, I guess we need to have the conversation, talk about what's going on. We started, it was about
2 years ago.
well, 3 years ago, actually, one of the board of directors and the manager came to the commissioners, did a huge presentation about True Friends, what they were doing in our communities, what they were doing to help with the animal control and spade and neutering programs and all of that. and said they, they were having some financial burdens, needed some financial help, and according to the county code, there is an option in the county code that gives us the ability, if we can, to take and give money to help with animal control. It's not mandatory, again, it says ability. So the first year, that year they came, we said, okay, we'll budget something for the next year, and we budgeted $50,000. Of course, that was back when, things were good, post, pre-COVID and everything else. And so we did budget it, and, they received it in 20, and then again in 21, during the pandemic, we did give them another round then. But this year, we didn't budget anything for them. And there was a lot of reasons behind that, and one of them was, of course, from the financial side is, we're not as solvent with revenue and money as we always were. Our salaries and benefits to our employees have gone up $1.5 million in the last year, which we've had to cover, plus some of the other programs that are being run through the county right now. So on top of that, it was, we've never received any communication back from True Friends as to, if they're still doing anything, or if they're even meeting the needs of the public anymore, or what's going on. We've had all kinds of reports, and actually, at this point, I know that even in Susquehanna, we had a huge feral cat problem. And Judy, I'll let you talk about that.
And there was another organization that actually took care of that. If I can just comment on and explain that a little bit further. It's not our money to spend. Making decisions like this is not arbitrary. We have to do our due diligence to ensure that what we budget, that we have backing for. As Commissioner Hall had mentioned, we are under our county code able to give money towards animal control. We were given quite a bit of wonderful information several years ago that justified that True Friends was doing an amazing job at that time of doing animal control and really getting out into the community. And it was never promised at any point at that point. In fact, it was mentioned that this is something that would be discussed on an annual basis. Over the past year, and I can only speak for myself as a commissioner, for me to feel comfortable with continuing this type of payment, there are two things that need to be met. Are they in good standing with the county, and are they providing the bulk of the animal control for our county? The latter, I am under the understanding that is not happening, and I've not been provided any information to show otherwise. So I do not feel comfortable approving a budgeting that amount because of that. The good standing is there was an instance last year, actually it began 2 years ago, we received money through our, through taxes, room taxes. And we set up grants, and what we refer to these grants are as putting heads in beds. So these grants provide money to local organizations that are doing events to bring people in and draw people into Susquehanna County. It's something we've been doing forever.
And I think Elizabeth has had a lot of contact with that.
Exactly.
So Elizabeth,
Do you want to explain what happened with that?
You're doing a good job.
Okay.
I sit on the board,
Yes.
for the Visitors Bureau, and one of the largest fundraising events that True Friends has been holding is the Wolf Stock, of course, which was an awesome event, and it used to be held down at Salt Springs, and they have a great turnout, largest fundraiser of the year for them. And of course, then we had the flood in 2017? The year we had the flood, 18. We had the terrible flooding, and the barn got taken out down there, and there was a lot of damage done to Salt Springs. So they had it organized and planned that summer to have it there, and of course they had to move it. So in a hurry, they moved it down to Wyoming County to the Lazy Brook Park, which is also a lovely park and nice and flat and along the creek. But that was like an emergency situation. So we were hoping that it would be brought back into our county where it needs to be, because those are our tax dollars in that room grant fund. and it needs to be spent here in our county. I mean, that's a requirement. So
In
it's
20,
been held down there the last few years now, still at
Yes.
Lazy Brook, and we've asked them to bring it back into the county. And, you know, we have 4 beautiful parks here in our county.
yes.
Salt Springs is up and running and good to go, of course.
Well, they
And then you
applied
have-
for that grant in 2020, and it was denied because it was going, and part of the parameters of that grant is that event has to be held within Susquehanna County. That is the understanding of the individuals that are paying the taxes to put towards that. So we were denied that. We denied them. And then they applied again in 2021, stating that it was going to be in Salt Springs. And unbeknownst to us, once they received the money from us through that grant, it was moved. And once we found that out, unfortunately, they no longer qualified for it. We contacted them prior to the event, and they refused to give the money back. So the board, I understand.
So it was brought before the board,
Yeah.
the Visitors Bureau Board, and there's other commissioners from Sullivan County and Wyoming County, and it's made up of people of each county. There's 3 counties involved in that. And it was brought before the board, and everyone agreed that the money should be returned. It was about $7,000, actually. So, with that being said, I have told them about all the beautiful parks in our county. As I was saying, we have Salt Springs, Susquehanna has the Riverfront Park that's beautiful with a walking path. Susquehanna's got it going on over there. It's all about bringing heads and beds and people spending money into our communities when they're here visiting for these events. And Susquehanna has like 3 ice cream places now. They have a brewery, they have
Forest City.
restaurants. Forest City, I know, I didn't get there yet.
I
Forest City.
didn't want
Can
you
I
to-
talk?
I didn't want you to forget them,
I
that's
didn't
all.
forget. I did not forget. Forest City's got it going on over there. They've got beautiful Kennedy Park with a beautiful pond there and a beautiful pavilion. They've got walking trails in the woods. The town's happening over there. And then we have Clifford, who has an awesome park and walking trails and a beautiful creek running through it. And there are pickleball courts and they all have playgrounds for the children. And they all have things going on in these communities, you know, and I brought that to the director's attention. I said, you have all these, she said, well, I didn't know we had all these parks in the county. And I go, well, we do, you know, so take your pick. Any of these communities would like to work with you. So anyway, that's where we're at.
And I think didn't both of you request several meetings
Yes.
with them, and they've refused to meet with us,
Yeah, there was attempts to meet, and unfortunately to no avail.
and so, and
And they have every right to have that, but to fill out an application stating that it's going to be somewhere to qualify for a grant, and then to move that location after you receive the grant is concerning to us, especially when you have been told 2 years the year before you were denied because it was going to be. So that's $7,000, that's a pretty decent amount of money. And because we were refused a meeting at that point, we don't have the information to show that they are doing the bulk of the animal control. And we're not in a financial situation like we were in the past. All of those things are the reasons as to why this year it was not funded.
I mean, there was several years we gave money to the fire companies, and, you know, there's a couple of years that we didn't do that because, you know, we just couldn't afford to do it. But, so what happened this year is it was about a month ago, I guess I was the lucky one that answered the phone. I got a phone call from True Friends, and the lady on the other end of the phone said, you know, well, where's our check? And I said, well, what check? And they said, well, the check you owe us. And I said, no, we don't owe you anything. And they said, oh yeah, you owe us $50,000. No, we don't owe you $50,000. There was nothing budgeted. And, oh, well, I'll have somebody else call you. And then another lady comes on and says, well, you have to give us this money. You know, it says you have to do it. I said, no, it doesn't say that. I said, we don't have to do anything. This is taxpayers' money. We don't have to do anything except what the code tells us we have to do, and the code doesn't tell us we have to do this. And she says, well, you know, we're gonna have to close the place and blah, blah, blah. I said, well, you know, listen, we're getting complaints. You're not open and you're not letting the public in anyway. And, you know, people have tried to have conversations with it, nobody's called. I said, but here's what you can do. I would suggest that you call our chairperson, Commissioner Arnold, and set up an appointment with her to come discuss this and, you know, see what we can do. Well, you know, I thought it was all taken care of, didn't think anything more of it. The next thing you know, we get a letter in the mail from True Friends, you know, basically, you know, demanding, you know, a written explanation and then basically the end threatening us with, they've talked to their attorney and they're gonna call the Attorney General and on and on. And then it's just signed by Board of Directors, there's nobody's
There's no
name on it
signatures.
whatsoever. So it's like, okay, well, we don't respond to bullies, we respond to people that act professional and wanna work with the community and work with people, and obviously, they didn't wanna do that. So the next thing we know is yesterday afternoon, a Facebook post went out slamming the commissioners again, cause we wouldn't give them not only 50,000, but now they're saying that somebody promised them 75,000, which nobody ever promised them that. And it was always told to them in the beginning is that, like Commissioner Herschel said, that, they have to come see us. This isn't an automatic thing, if you're getting this kind of money from the county, you have to come see us, The fire companies, they're always in contact with us, they're always reaching out to Commissioner Arnold, thanking us for, the things we do for them. So, listen, I'm not trying, listen, people need to continue to help true friends.
Absolutely.
We're not trying to discourage people from opening their wallets and helping with the animals. We're all animal lovers.
We are all huge animal lovers.
Betsy brings the strays into her house. And
Just one cat,
One
Alan, don't
cat.
get carried away.
Judy has,
I got 5 million
a whole farm
animals,
there,
like
so.
more animals than people
And of
in my
course,
home.
my cat, which is like a human, gets treated better than most people do, so, has more toys and playthings than most kids have, so, it's nothing against that, and we do wanna thank, I think it was Kindred Spirits is the name of the organization.
Spirits, yes.
They're the ones that stepped up over in Susquehanna with all the feral cats and did the neutering and the spading over there because True Friends wasn't able to do it, so. But we just thought we needed to get the right story out so people understood it. It's, people aren't entitled to things like they sometimes think they are. It's a whole different situation.
Bottom line is, people go on that social media, which I can't stand, and they blast people and they say things that aren't true, and it's
Yeah.
very damaging to people. But there's always two sides to every story, and the
Yeah.
truth is always somewhere in the middle, so, it's always good for people to get both sides before they start throwing knives at you.
Exactly.
But I think let's end this on some good news. I think we all have some
Oh,
good
we've got
news,
some very
right?
good news. We just got word from PennDOT that the D&H Rail Trail will be awarded $1.250595, so $1,250,000 towards their rail trail, towards the line between Stevens Point towards New York State.
That's awesome.
So that's a huge thing, great news. It's going to really help that. Tourism is on the rise in our area, and that is only going to help the situation. So we're honored to be able to accept that on their behalf, on the rail trail's behalf, and that will be distributed to them. So very, very good news. If I could also comment too, the county commissioners are sponsoring a Hike for Hope this Saturday from 6 to 8 o'clock. It is a hike for the remembrance of individuals that we have lost to suicide. It's an awareness event to offer information on prevention and education. So all are welcome to this. You get a t-shirt. We are having a candlelight vigil at the end of the night with a speaker. So we would love to have you there.
What's the location?
Salt Springs Park.
Salt Springs Park.
We are meeting at the Overlook Trail at 6 o'clock. The hike takes about an hour, and then we will be wrapping up the hike at 7 o'clock at the Memorial Garden. Light refreshments will be served, so.
We hope you'll come out and enjoying that. We
Bring
hope
a
the public
camp
will.
chair if you can for the event at the end.
It's a great thing that the two of you got put together, so
Yeah.
thank both of you for
Thank you.
doing
Really
that.
appreciate that, and it's, something needs to be done. We've seen a rise in mental health issues. We've had a very difficult time in our community over the last couple of years, so we want to show as commissioners that we do really support our community, and we want to help everyone navigate during this time and get the support that they need.
Thank you. Did you have anything?
Yeah, so, listen, we haven't talked about roads in a while, right, Billy?
I
I know it's on the tip of your tongue, right?
I've never mentioned that word.
And I just gave up asking.
So, yesterday I had the privilege and the pleasure of, I had the Assistant Director of Planning out of PennDOT out of Harrisburg up yesterday. with 2 people from Northern Tier and 1 person from Dunmore to go for a ride on the roads and look at the roads. So we started in Lenox and come up the old road to Hartford, and I took them around Tingley Lake Road and down into New Milford to the new disaster area, which is going to be considered the major traffic stop in New Milford, the corner of 492 and Route 11.
Oh, the Allen Hall roundabout.
No, I believe it's the Rick Aney roundabout. I heard they already have your statue made for that. So, took them out 492 to Steinbeck Corners, and then from Steinbeck Corners over to Susquehanna. By the time we got to Susquehanna, we had to stop. 2 of them were ready to throw up in the back of the van because it was so bad. So, kind of hit home at that point and left there and looked at Germantown Road and talked about Strucker Creek Road, and come back over into the Halsted Great Bend area and went out Route 7, New York Ave to the past American Legion by your house.
I know.
Went through that area and over, and actually took them into New York State so I could see how good the road was from the state line into New York.
You
And
close your eyes and you know when you cross the line.
went over to 29, came down 29.
Please tell me you took them down through Dimmock.
Took them down through
Oh my
Dimmock.
word, that's horrendous.
Before we got to Dimmock, we took them through Lower Riney Creek, Liberty Park Road, Laurel Lake, Franklin Hill, got them into Montrose, took them up over Lake Ave, which is the PennDOT Road, and down to Dimmock that you drive every day, which is a disaster. And then back down 706 with the drainage and the problems down there, and that pretty much consumed the day trying to get that done with them. So, because it didn't take, the poor guy that had a brand new PennDOT van that he signed out in Harrisburg, and he was like white knuckled, afraid he was taking it back and the wheels would all be wobbled and blown out by the time he got there, so.
There's a good chance of that.
So some of the things that came out of it that I thought were positive is that we have maps, and I'm gonna push those out. There's construction maps and there's maintenance maps for our county. And one of the things we pushed out and on the construction maps is we're like the end of the dog's tail. So what happens is they bid these contracts, and these contractors are also bidding projects like on Interstate 80, 380, and Lower 81, and those are huge projects. So they bid those first and take those jobs on, and then the stuff we do, which is like, we got like a half a mile in New Milford that has to get paved this year. Those things always end up on the end of the list. So it's like last year when we were supposed to get 81 repaved from the state line to New Milford, they showed up in October to do this, and which is a pretty bad time because you don't know if you're gonna have snow or freezing rain or what you're gonna have. So we talked about that. We've got to get off the end of the list and get to the front of the list and get some of this done in the beginning of the year. But what I also reminded them is, and one thing that they didn't understand, I said, listen, so construction season started for our maintenance department April 1st. Well, the blacktop plants don't open up until the 15th of April. So we lose 2 weeks right out of the gun on doing any blacktop work because you can't get any blacktop till the 15th of April. Let alone May, we had 18 inches of wet snow and knocked out 70% of the county. So, which then brought another issue of all the trees down. So now PennDOT spent 2 weeks cutting trees and moving trees so they can get that done and go back. So we've lost over a month of maintenance work in this county because of winter conditions, plants closed, and a bad storm that hit us. So that kind of got them to understand that a little bit. And then as we drove the roads, they saw the canopies and said, well, it's obvious that where the sunshine hits the road all day, the road's in pretty decent shape. But where the roads are covered by trees, they're not getting the sunshine, that's where it's really busting up and really getting bad. So I said, absolutely. So they have to go back and rethink that. Yeah, they've been doing some treeing on the sides of the roads, but they're just going back to their right-of-way, but they don't go up, straight up for their right-of-way. So everything's still hanging over. So they're gonna go back and rethink that and have a discussion about that. The other issue is the When I say utility companies, I don't mean Penelec or the power companies, because they are really good about going off and getting a tree removed off their lines. But the phone company, and listen, Frontier is probably the worst one in the county. And believe me, this county has sued Frontier once already. Frontier has trees on their lines all over this county that are waiting to either come down onto the roadway or something, and somebody's gonna get hurt. So we've asked PennDOT to try and see if they can push the PUC to try and get some kind of legal ramification in there to force these utility companies like Frontier to come out and cut those trees off the lines, so that when the pole finally snaps or the line finally snaps, that tree doesn't fall on somebody's car going down the road and kill them. So they are gonna work on that. Route 29, listen, like I said, we did Rhiney Creek Road, Germantown Road, we did all kinds of roads, and I mean, the guy was mortified at what he saw on these roads. He says, I can't believe you got a big gouge down the center line that you drive in that's like all chewed up. He says, I just can't believe that. And I said, so then he looked at 29 and we said, here's the problem with 29. 5 years ago, they repaved 29. So 29 right now doesn't qualify for funding to get redone, because there's all kinds of regulations and that they have as far as funding as to how many years the roads have to be, whether it's a 2-digit, a 3-digit, a 4-digit, whether it's a class 1 through class 8, you know, depends on what kind of funding you can get and how it can be done. So I said, well, listen, you can't leave Route 29 like it is. I said, it's bad enough coming from the state line to here, but now that you've ridden from here down through Dimmock, you know, it's like driving through Beirut trying to get to the flashing light in Dimmock. And they said, well, you know, they're supposed to be doing some patching. I said, but there isn't enough patch in the world. And I said, here's my issue. And he finally agreed. He said, listen, he says, we need to do the repairs right instead of just putting Band-Aids on it. He says, the problem is we're spending 3 times as much money going out and redoing it 3 times or 5 times.
Right.
Doing it right the
Than if we
first
just
time.
did it right the first time. I said, absolutely.
That's a light bulb.
And so I was pretty impressed that the guy was actually getting some of this stuff. And I said, you know, here's the other issue. You know, when Penelec and Claverack had their problem here 2 weeks ago, I said they brought mutual aid in from all over the place to help them to get back and restored. I said, I know you do that in the wintertime. We get a bad storm, you'll bring trucks in from other places. But why aren't you doing it in the other times when we have other problems? Like right now in our county, we have a huge problem. There is no way our maintenance department in this county, with the force that they have, can do the work that's even on, there's no way they can even do the work that's on those maps that they say. They just don't have the manpower to do it. You need to bring some other people in from other counties, especially like Shippensburg area and lower counties that don't have all the damages, and bring them up for a couple of weeks to help us get caught back up and get these repairs done. So they're gonna look at trying to do something with some mutual aid to try and get some more people in here and get things done. And we also said, listen, you gotta do something with the interstate, because the interstate's a killer for maintenance. Because when they send guys up on the interstate to do work, maintenance work on the interstate, it's not sending run crew. They either have to send 3 or 4 crews up. Well, that wipes out all the crews in the county. So that means nothing else in the county gets done because everybody's at the interstate. So they're gonna look at that too. So it was a real positive. We'll push out the maps to everybody. Don't hold the commissioners to it because we have no control over it.
Exactly, no
Exactly.
control whatsoever.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
thank you for spending the
you
day
for-
with them
Yeah.
yesterday and doing that.
When will they be
Appreciate that.
following up again?
They're supposed to get back to us in a few weeks to let us know what they can do, and I'll report it back to you guys so you can push it out.
Okay.
I just like to make a comment. The last time you had a Secretary of Transportation up, she quit a month or 2 later.
Yeah, what can I tell you, that's what the roads in Susquehanna County will do to
It was
you.
still Carsick. Okay, well, thank you for all that. Thank you, this was a good meeting and I appreciate everyone being here. One last thing, just want to give out a reminder, Tuesday is Election Day.
There you go. Yep.
And May 17th, please, please, please get out and vote. Every election is important. Every election is important. And everyone needs to get out and exercise their right as an American. So,
Did you want to
and
say?
our election, just so you know, we run a great election here in Susquehanna
We run a
County.
tight
and
ship.
We run a tight ship, and things are done correctly, and we will have a good election. No one needs to worry about that.
Do you
Sorry.
wanna mention the bench on the green from the Kiwanis, the handicap picnic table?
Oh, you can go ahead. Yeah, we got, whatever, we have benches from Kiwanis, yes, handicap accessible picnic tables that have been put on the green, and we thank the Kiwanis for that. How long was that in the making? Was it a
They
year?
were, yeah, they were like a year, you know, they were
Okay.
trying to do it through COVID, but listen, it's a beautiful bench that's out there. I mean, it wasn't there 10 minutes and two people were sitting at it
Yeah.
eating
Yeah.
lunch.
It's a picnic table.
Yeah, it's a
Yeah,
picnic
picnic
table, but
table.
it's handicap
Yep.
accessible.
Yep, and
So-
how many of, the Kiwanis is putting several of them out around the county.
Yeah.
How many, do you know, Rebecca?
I'm not sure.
Okay,
Yeah, I know
there were several others.
Several, yeah.
And I think Debbie Chrisman had a hand in all that.
Yep,
And,
absolutely.
and Debbie is being honored on Saturday night at the Boy Scouts dinner at Elk Lake, so, she's been chosen as Citizen of the Year. And I'll be attending that with a citation on behalf of the commissioners. So we thank the Kiwanis for doing that.
Good job,
Yes.
thank you.
All right.
With all that, I'll make a motion to adjourn.
I'll second that.
Motion by Commissioner Hall, seconded by Commissioner Herschel, to adjourn the meeting at 9:41. Thank you very much. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye.